Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome everybody to the Flagstick Podcast. We're creeping up on episode 100. It is episode 96.
Already.
96. I'm Jeff Potter. Of course, he's Scott McLeod. And we're happy to have this week's podcast brought to you by our good friends again at Golf PEI, which you just got back from not too long ago.
I did.
Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in this great country, with over 400 fairways closer than you imagine. Top-tier accommodations and exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book, so book your golf vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca, and don't hesitate to do some fall golf out there either.
Yeah,
by the way. I mean, we're only in August right now, getting close to September, but I think there's still a good couple of months at least left in the golf season out east, and some pretty spectacular what do you call them, vistas.
Vistas. I mean, you've
I wouldn't go swimming necessarily too much longer, but you can golf.
Yeah, definitely. Were we the end? Were we the end of September?
Oh, we were late. We were late September, early October when we went, and the golf was still outstanding.
Yeah, and obviously the colors are great, and like you mentioned, views at golf courses like Glasgow Hills. I think I have their brochure here.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't really see it. This camera won't focus. There it is.
Long drive.
Yeah, but if you're up on Glasgow Hills and the views from that clubhouse across the Clyde River. Pretty spectacular. So get that in there, and if not, start booking for 2025 because it's going to book up pretty quickly.
Strongly suggest that. Now, before we get too deep into the podcast, let me remind everybody to follow us across all social media networks, including Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, and please subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We really do encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us and click the notification bell to make sure that you never miss anything that we post up there. Obviously, the Flagstick Academy continues to rock hard on the YouTube. And we're happy about that. So, which is why we're going to keep doing it. But we'll talk about that another time. Still plenty of stuff happening in the golf world right now. We'll use the front nine as always to catch you up on a little bit of the news and topics from around the region and around the globe. But in the back nine, of course, it's Tour Championship week, and there's a lot to talk about with the Tour Championship. And I know that there's some notes made to talk about. We're going to go off
script
time on that.
For sure.
My Tour Championship discussion points are epic today.
We seem to have a lot of the same ones each year.
I know. Before we even get to the notes, I can tell you that the notes are probably going to be irrelevant.
Yeah,
so
they're just there for reference if needed.
But I'm really excited to get to that topic. So,
all right.
But we got to get to the front nine first. So, the front nine presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Obviously, as we said, there's still lots of golf left to be played this year, especially around here. We'll go deep into October. Get those game packs. You can still get the game packs, 10, 20, 30 game passes. You're going to save on your green fees compared to the regular price green fees. Visit metcalfgolf.com to book tee times and to shop for those passes, memberships, and goodies. Now, okay, on the front nine, lots
of stuff going on.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of stuff. The OVGA men's senior intersectionals, we're kind of winding down intersectional season now.
Yeah, just senior women left.
So congratulations to the team from Canada who won the A division for the very first time and at their home course, which is always exciting to do. Dan Tapp made a birdie on the last hole to secure the win. So how exciting is that for intersectionals? Like, it's exciting enough when it's an individual tournament to make a birdie on the last hole to win a tournament, but when you're doing it for a team
in your club,
it's intersectionals and you drop a bird.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
And didn't have to buy drinks that night.
No, somebody said that he might not have to buy drinks for a while for men's night, so justifiably so. That was on Monday. I don't know. I think I was up till 11ish, getting in results, and then still a few more hours the next day. But lots of different stories coming from, the intersectionals, but mostly just excited team members, proud team members. Everybody works hard to get onto their team, and there's obviously some sad ones too. People are upset and maybe they don't get to advance and maybe they go down. But anyways, the full results are all up at flagstick.com. Every single one of them is up there. So
beautiful. Okay. Curtis Barkley and Natasha Stasiak.
Yeah.
They represented Canada in the very first G4D mixed team event at the Belfry in England.
Yeah, how good is that?
That is amazing. Finished fourth.
Run concurrently with the DP World Tour event that's happening this week. They just played early in the week, so yeah.
Finished fourth. Tough. I mean, here's the thing. I see that the alternate shot format kind of got them on the second day.
Yeah,
and that almost gets everybody whenever you do that alternate. Except
hard.
You and I, when we played alternate shot in the member guest at Greyhawk years ago, where we were under par for alternate shot.
That's a rare one.
Nobody else was. So
yeah, that happened once.
Tough beans for all of you people. But tough format to play in. My son Brandon and I played that similar format at Metcalf with the a 2-person event that we played, and the alternate shot kind of got us at the end too, but we still pulled out the win. But it certainly destroyed whatever score we did have.
Yeah, it does. Much.
But good for them. Awesome. World Deaf Golf Championships in Australia.
Yeah, just wrapped up literally hours ago. So yeah, this is fresh.
Very fresh. Russell Bowie of Mississauga, Ontario. Played golf at Queens, actually. Posted 68 in the final round to win the World Deaf Golf Championships at Royal Pines Golf Resort in Australia.
Yeah, again, really cool thing about this too is that it's a place where Adam Scott had won, and Russell is a huge Adam Scott fan. Thanks to the gang at Australian Golf Digest for tagging me in a couple of things and helping me keep track of that as well. So I appreciate that.
Now, he obviously led the Canadian men team to a victory. By virtue of his victory, certainly helped lead the men's team to a victory. And team members included, obviously, Russell, Ryan Mauberly, Alexandra Willette, Dale Proctor, and Philip Boyer. So super congrats goes out to to them and all the Canadians participating in various classes in that tournament.
Yeah, I think we had 14 Canadians that participated. Nice. So it made up a large percentage of the field. So good one to follow. Yeah.
All right. Canadian men's mid amateur just wrapped up at Carleton. And you'll get all the results up at flagstick.com, obviously. But Cam Burke of Kitchener won by quite a large margin.
Yeah, I think 9. So yeah.
I mean, that's good. That's good.
Large. Yeah.
2 Golf Canada Championships are coming to the region over the next 2 years. Obviously, the 2025 Canadian Men's AM and the 2026 World Junior Girls, both going to be played at Royal Ottawa. Obviously, part of the Men's AM will be played at Rivermead as well. But the World Junior Girls being played at Royal Ottawa too. So pretty awesome. You get those national championships right here in our own backyard. It's always nice to see.
Yeah, and that World Junior Girls, obviously, it's been in the region before a couple of times at the Marshes and once at Camelot. And you know what? These are the stars of the future, and it's a great opportunity to see them. Many of the players that played in these ones before in Ottawa are now on the LPGA Tour. So great.
Now,
good to see.
Super pumped up last week to watch the AIG Women's Open Championship at St. Andrews. I mean, it really doesn't matter what it is being played at St. Andrews. It's just something alluring about the fact that they're playing golf at St. Andrews and it's St. Andrews. And
it could be the D-Flight Net Championship.
It could be the Doberman Pinscher Championship golf,
whatever
kickball event, whatever. I don't really care. But even more amazing, Lydia Ko. It is so awesome to see. I'm not going to say she fell off the map, but she certainly dropped out of where she was at one point in her career, struggled a lot, worked her tail off to get herself back. And now she is sort of clawed her way back to stature that she was at. You know, obviously won the gold medal at the Olympics, which earned her a spot in the Hall of Fame, and then comes back and wins at St. Andrews too. So
Yeah,
that's just incredible.
Just 27 too, and you know, there's obviously some discussion now. She's married. You know, there's been some talk over the years of her retiring early and things like that. But you know, it's nice now that, you know, she's done this. 21 LPGA Tour wins, 8 LET wins. She's won 3 of the 5 majors now. I'm certainly.
Would it surprise you if she retired?
No, it wouldn't. But the thing is that, you know, you could walk off into the sunset here, very, very happy that you've accomplished a lot. I mean, her first pro win was at age 14. So,
yeah,
you know, half her life has been spent winning professional golf tournaments. So, I mean, yeah.
I mean, you always like to go out on top, right? I mean, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, I mean, competitive people, they don't like to necessarily go. I mean, some will stick around and ride their careers out, you know,
right,
and basically be garbage, and then retire when they can no longer
compete,
hit a golf ball or play the sport. In her case, if there was a time to retire, if you truly were thinking about retirement, now would be the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess the side that's interesting with that, though, and I mean, I thought about it too. I wouldn't be surprised, but you know, when you're playing this well, you know, that's the other side of it. You know, the same as you know, anyone else. I mean, when you know, you've got the tiger by the tail here, you know, you just think, oh, I can ride this out. Now, right now, she's 3rd ranked in the world, not relevant really compared to what she's doing here. But yeah, if there was a time to go out, yes. But on the other side of it, you know, who knows? She's just enjoying it, and you know, maybe she can enjoy the fruits of her labor here and all the work that she's done this year for the next little while before she considers that.
It's like people saying that Tiger should, you know, put the bag in the closet and not play anymore. It's like, well, you know, sometimes you feel like you still have it. Sometimes you feel like you have something not necessarily to prove to the world, but prove to yourself. And, you know, in Tiger's case, I think he feels like he can still play with the best in the world. He hasn't shown it yet, but it's hard for him to kind of, given the fact that he had so much of his career taken away from him with all the injuries,
right?
That, you know, I think he just feels like he's got something left in. Now, if he thinks he's sticking around because he wants to break Jack's record, I don't think that. I feel like it's probably more Sam Snead's record that he would still be after rather than Jack's. You know, I think he maybe realized he's not going to pass Nicholas. You're not going to win 3 more majors. You know, so, but if you can win 1 more tournament, then he would pass Snead, and then he'd, you know,
which is a mark,
would ever touch that.
Yeah, which is a mark we've talked about before, whether it's legitimate or not. And I think the other side of it too,
it's not. But anyway,
no, and you know, I listened to an interview this week that Sean Foley did, and was talking about a couple other things relative to Tiger. And I think one of the things that for Tiger is also to keep himself prominent, as far as, I won't say in the news or whatever, but the attention that he can still bring to his foundation and stuff. And they were making mention of it, you know, the thousands of kids that have gone to university based on his foundation and his visibility. If he disappears, it brings less visibility to the other things that he does.
Very true.
So that's part of his legacy as well. And I think people forget that it's not just about his record and his playing. It's bringing visibility to the other things that he does in his life.
Well, I mean, I don't remember exactly. I don't remember how old Jack was when he finally stopped playing competitive golf. I mean, I know obviously the Masters win.
Yeah, he was deep into his Champions. He was deep into the Champions Tour, right?
So does Tiger play the Champions Tour? Is that how he maintains visibility going forward? Or is that kind of like, if you start playing the Champions Tour and you're not beating the likes of Bernard Longer and Freddie Couples and on a weekly basis, Stephen Ames, so like, is that, does that hurt and tarnish your legacy even more as a competitor? I think you're better off getting beat by Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele every week than getting beat by Stephen Ames.
Yeah, and there's more visibility on the PGA Tour than there is on the Champions Tour. So if it's visibility that you're after, then obviously that makes a difference that way. So, but whatever the case, Lydia's done. Yeah, it's been fun to watch, especially those last few weeks. Fun to see, her excel. And then the LPGA, I should mention this, we didn't have it in the notes, but the LPGA is at one of your favorite courses this week. They're at TPC Boston. Sorry, one of your favorite pro shops.
Yes. Yeah.
They're at TPC Boston this week in Norton, Mass. And which is nice for them for the FM championship.
They played the BMW championship there.
They did
I think a couple of times back when they had four playoff events.
Yeah, they did. So it'll be interesting to see the LPGA play there. 3 Canadians in the field: Elena Sharp, Savannah Gruel, and Maudemie LeBlanc. Brooke has the week off. She was not feeling well the last little bit of the run over in Europe, apparently, and missed the cut at the Women's Open. So hopefully she's back on the horse real soon.
All right. PGA Tour Americas, there's only two events left.
Well, there's lefties at play, so
there's 2 events left on the circuit this year. This week in Minnesota, and then they head to TPC Toronto for the Fortinet Championship. That is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
I don't watch a lot of PGA Tour Americas when there is some televised stuff, and I don't really follow it a whole lot. Other than just check the results from time to time. But man, if that one was televised, I would.
I'm going to pop up there, I think, for that. I was talking to Noah Steele last night. So he finished from Kingston, Ontario.
When are you going?
I'm not sure.
When are you going?
I'm not sure yet.
Sadly, we can't play it. When
no,
he can't
play one of the other courses maybe. So his wife is going to be up, and his mom is going up, I think, on the Friday or whatever. So I'm gonna I might go up on the Friday to see him. He tied for 5th last week, which was a good showing. We had played with him last weekend, and his game was showing some form. And the one thing that we were talking about is exactly what's in the notes here. We're talking about the scoring on the tour this year. So he was tied for 5th at 22 under par. The scoring this year on the PGA Tour Americas has been insane. He was laughing because he said, he had a T16 at Eagle Creek, and he was a T30 at Eagle Creek, and he was 16 under par. And the same thing happened last week. If you weren't 15 under par, got you a tie for 30th in Manitoba. So
that's the nature of it. That it has been that way even well before PGA Tour Americas, when it was the Canadian Tour, when it was
it's kind of a little bit lower though.
If you're not dumping low rounds, you're not in the hunt, you're not making money, you're not contending. Like, you've got to go deep.
And it's really the cuts that have gotten a little lower, because the field depth has gotten much more, like, when, and no offense to the Canadians, but when there was a lot of Canadians in the field, a lot of people that were there that were more marginal playing the tour, the cut level wasn't quite as low. Whereas now it's very commonplace, every week to be -6, -7 to be the cut. So the depth is much more that's there. And really, when it comes down to it, if you don't shoot under par every day, you get run over. So a good round, I think the scoring average is around like 69 a lot of the times.
Crazy.
So, but anyways, 2 events left for that tour. Be good to see things finish out there, and looking forward to seeing that.
Cool. All right, LPGA Q Series pre-qualifying last week in California. Some Canadians are advancing. Brooke Rivers, Ashley Chow is an amateur. Monet Chun and Jose Doyon are moving on. The next stage is in mid-October in Florida, and then the finals will be played in Alabama in December at Magnolia Grove.
You remember that golf course?
I do.
We played 36 there.
Yes, we did.
Back in the day.
Well, we had a little Flagstick web poll, which we do from time to time. Well, we do on a regular basis. And you popped up the question, Mr. McLeod, how long have you owned your current driver? This is an interesting one, because other than your irons, let's just say irons at this point, if you're changing out your iron set, you're dropping a good $1,500
at least,
on a good set.
Almost $2,000 now.
But a driver, you're still dropping $600-700 on a new driver if you're going premium, premium stuff. So it's a good question, because if you're going to drop $1,000 on a driver, how often are you changing that thing out? So and interesting, the it's not Doesn't surprise me. I think what's happening, we see here, the question was less than a year, 1 to 3 years, or more than 3 years. 52%, 53% almost of those responses were more than 3 years. That doesn't surprise me at all.
I'm sure it's going to creep higher eventually.
Yeah,
you know
I think
I mean?
people are kind of, and maybe this will change things within the industry. Now we'd have to talk to some industry people, obviously. In the manufacturing industry, with the, you know, there's a cycle of products that they sort of work to a certain cycle. They have shareholders and whatnot that they have to satisfy. So it's a business, right? So it's not just about, oh, there's new technology to release every couple of years. That's not always the case. Of why they're doing it. Sometimes it's a case of, you know, they have to show growth, they have to show profit, you know, because they have shareholders,
sales cycles.
Exactly. You can't just be stagnant just because you're like, well, we don't really have any real new technology, so we're not really releasing anything different. Well, you know, a good chunk of what they talk about with new product and technology is marketing. So there isn't always a whole lot that changes, but they change enough, and they have to do this. Like, you just can't, you know, you can't release a driver and 8 years later release a new one.
No,
like that business model does not work. You'll get run over. So this is an interesting stat, because I can see this, like you said, I can see this number growing even more.
And I think it's growing for a couple other reasons, but I mean, one of the other ones as well is, you know, the rise in custom fitting. You know, we're seeing players now that, you know, it's not just keeping the driver in their bag from a budget perspective. It's keeping the driver in their bag because they've been fitted properly and they hit it well and they perform well. And I can tell you from talking to a couple of different fitters, it's getting more and more common that players will show up and they don't see enough gains because their other product was, you know, delivered or fitted properly, that, you know, they're performing well with it and they're not seeing enough gains to justify the cost. So so fitting plays a part as well. And so this, I think you'll start to see, you know, people will, maybe they'll skip a cycle, they'll skip 2 cycles, and then they'll, you know, get the latest from there. But I would expect this just to stretch out as the costs go higher and fitting becomes more prevalent as well. So
no, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, I played the same driver for a very long time. At one point I used one of the white TaylorMade drivers. And I love that club. It was a great club. And then I switched and started playing the Srixon ZX7 driver, and I really liked it. And that was a big change from 1 year.
And they've got a new one coming.
And then I got another new one the very next year. Now, and the thing is, I don't think I hit the new one further or necessarily better.
No.
But what I do like is the look. Like, and so even though there's some technology that was changed in the driver from 1 year to the next, it really was ultimately the matte finish of the MK2 that changed. Like, okay, I really like how that looks. Like, I like that better than the shiny head, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then, you know, ultimately then you end up switching your hybrid, your 3-wood as well, because they have the same new finish, and it's like, oh, they really look good, and I like how they look when I set them down, and maybe I hit them better because of that. Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, I just make a change, but the change I made is because the fitting option wasn't really available before.
Right.
You know, you go to a product where all of a sudden there's a variation of it that, oh, now this delivers in this loft, it provides this, but that option wasn't available. So again, that's part of the change. It's not always about the fact that it's better. It's just better for you, and that's what's the most important part in the end.
Yeah. So here's an interesting interesting note. Yeah, there is a phone call. That's crazy, eh? Can I shut it off?
Are you going to answer it live on the podcast? No, don't.
No, I'm going to reject. So here's an interesting thing. So we're going to get to break, but after Keegan's win.
Yes. I know. I know.
So after Keegan's win, I sent a note to Max Christensen from Mint Green, who is, you know, obviously that's Cleveland Srixon
in Canada.
And I said, hey, congrats. Nice win for Keegan. And he sent me back a note, and he's basically said, yeah, back-to-back playoff victories on the heels of Hideki last week. And it had just slipped my mind that Hideki had won the week before in the playoff format. And he said that's making it interesting for Ryder Cup next year with Keegan as a playing captain.
Oh, even more with the President's Cup
exactly
this year.
So then he said, by the way, here's Keegan's what's in the bag if you're interested.
Sure.
Hey, he plays the diamond ball like you. So because I talked about it on the podcast. So I know Max is listening to the podcast because he knows that I talked about the diamond, the Srixon diamond. So Keegan Bradley, what's in the bag, just real quick before we go to break. Srixon ZX5 MK2 irons 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Srixon ZX7 MK2 irons 7, 8, and 9. Srixon Z Forge 2 pitching wedge.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Golf RTX Zip Core 52 and 58. And I don't know which ones, but that's just a generic. And obviously the Srixon Z Star Diamond golf ball, just like me. Keegan. Anyway, just thought we mentioned that just because Max made the effort to send this Appreciate and respond to me. It's like, thanks, Max. Great bit of information. It's out there now. All right.
Yeah, we have some Keegan stuff that's going to be in the back half here in the back nine. So.
Beautiful. Okay. We're going to go to break. Before we go to break, Flagstick Academy Golf Tips sponsored by Castleview Golf and Country Club back again this week across all of our digital platforms. This week, tip on posture.
Yep.
Posture. Important. Posture. Lots of things important. Posture, ball position, but posture this week. Okay. We're going to take a break. When we come back on the back nine, we are going to talk Tour Championship, and who knows where this conversation is going to go. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us. You are listening and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to the Flagstick podcast. I'm Jeff Botter. He's still Scott McLeod. And we got a bunch of stuff. We got some discussion to have in our back nine. Obviously, our back nine is presented again this week by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. With 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at great rates, Falcon Ridge is a golf experience you cannot avoid. And that experience keeps getting better. They have built the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario. TrackMan Range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide an ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice, games, and virtual golf. To book your tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan Range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. Okay. Okay, let's dive into a very interesting topic. Here we go. The PGA Tour season is about to wrap up for this year. Not technically,
There's
this
still
is
the
the
fall,
last. This
FedEx
is
fall.
the fall series coming up. But I mean, this is it. This is the Tour Championship. We are heading to East Lake this week, and only the top 30 have gotten this far in FedEx Cup points. $25 million big dollars for first place. Last place, a mere $550,000.
Not bad.
I mean, hey, just to get there.
They'll do in a pinch.
Taylor Pendrith from Canada starts the tournament at 1 under, only 9 shots back of Scotty Scheffler, and is sort of T125. He's made over $4.5 million this year so far. Had a win at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson. 6 top 10s. Great season. The Tour Championship is obviously heading back to East Lake. East Lake completely revamped.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you,
historic renovation.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is probably. I know that it was known that this was happening, but this was probably one of the complete renos done to golf course that kind of seemed like it just happened, and there wasn't a lot of discussion about it. There wasn't a lot of video, leaked out there about it. There was some, but it wasn't like this. I don't know. I mean, it was really weird. And
they were rolling up the carpet. I mean, literally last year, as it finished, they were literally
moving on. Like
they were cutting sod on some of the other holes as the tournament was finishing up. So they obviously got on it right away.
What they did to this golf course, and this is a trend. I mean, this is not just tour championship talk here, but this is discussion. No. But what seems to be happening with a lot of these older golf courses that have undergone changes over the years to, we'll say, modernize it a little bit.
Yeah.
Leave these golf courses the heck alone. Stop modernizing them. This golf course, what he did to this golf course, in kind of bringing back what it was like, it's just phenomenal. Like it is. Like I watched some of the video documentary that the PGA Tour released there on PGAtour.com. Listen to Stuart Sink talk about the golf course. Obviously, somebody who had played East Lake for a fair number of times over the years, watched a lot of the changes occur to it. Would have been nice even for them to have, talked to Tiger a little bit about this, but Stuart Sink's been around a long time. Sure. And he's like, this is like, what they did is just phenomenal. And this is not a golf course that last year these guys were like, I think 26 or 27 under.
27,
for the 4 rounds. Nuh-uh. That ain't happening this year on this new redone historic restoration. Like it's just amazing what he did to this course.
What I think is neat is they actually went back into the archives. They looked at newspaper accounts. They just didn't use kind of what their own vision of what it used to be. They really dug into the history of it. Now, that said, obviously it's of a moderate length is necessary for the modern equipment to be suitable for it. This golf course obviously wasn't the length it was back in the day, but a lot of the similar features and looks and so forth. The only thing a little bit different as well is that we've got green speeds that are much different than they were back then, so this makes it extra challenging for these players. But you're right, I think that's part of it. And East Lake, so much history there with Bobby Jones, for an example, and Alexis Sterling Fraser, and there's so much history here, and the fact that they're doing that is important. And I agree, the trying to make golf courses timeless as opposed to dated is very, very important. And that's the movement that you're seeing a lot in a lot of places. It's, and you hear it from the architects. They're trying to knock the 80s out of it. They're trying to knock the 90s out of it. You know what I mean? When renovations were done, and there's a lot of time when a lot of architects sort of, they wanted to put their fingerprint on it. They wanted to make it look like theirs. But there's definitely more of a movement now where architects are going, all right, you know what, this was a classic golf course for a reason. Let's bring it back to some timeless aspect of it and focus on the golf course, not focus on the name attached to making the changes, which I totally respect.
Oh my gosh, like I see what's been done. I see what was done at Pinehurst number 2. I see what's been done at East Lake.
I see what's done at Rivermead, for example, even locally.
Exactly. We see what's been done to other courses that the PGA Tour plays on that have restored themselves to what they once were. And these golf courses are more than still challenging enough when you bring back, and it's something to consider is when an architect designs a golf course, and now, albeit there's some golf course designs out there that are even old school golf course designs that are just dumb. And you wonder what the architect was even thinking on the design. But then there's a lot of golf courses that are designed by good architects that designed a golf course to play a certain way. And it's not always just about, in a lot of cases, it's not about so much what happens off the tee all the time. It's a lot of times it's about the approach shots and what they wanted to happen when you hit your shots into the green and missed, or you hit your shot to a certain section of the green and it's supposed, and you think it's good, but it's not, and it runs off to a certain area. Well, when you start to change the green complex to soften up the slopes or flatten out an area to make it more playable, or to put in some humps and bumps and grow the rough up instead of these runoff areas, you don't realize how much, when you do that, it changes the golf course, the way was designed to be played.
And the skills required to tackle that puzzle. I mean, that we saw obviously, at Ancaster with the runoffs and the changes in the shapes of the greens there. And it's super important. And already looking ahead to this week, I just looked at analysis from Data Golf, and they looked at, the aspects of the game that were going to require the greatest strength. And it really comes down to the approaches more than anything, because, when you're off the tee, there's a certain amount of width that's there. You can hammer the ball out there a long way, but the highest level of skill is obviously making sure that those approaches go to the right spots. And as you said, this design really is going to put an emphasis on that, of who is striking their irons well and who can play the golf strategically. And it's not just about brute strength to tackle the puzzle that it is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Now, all right, so that's what's happened. The golf course is, underwent a major restoration project. It looks great. It's ready to go. I watched part of the
Creator Classic.
The Creator Classic there. That was kind of interesting. But at least you get to see some of the golf course. So that was kind of why it was some of the players are, there's some good players that are in that sort of creators thing. There's some that aren't
not so much
great, but it is what it is. It's an event created for social media, so it's and we got to see a little taste of what East Lake is going to bring. So cool, I love that. Let's talk about the Tour Championship a little bit now. Obviously, this is the third time that Scotty Scheffler has entered the Tour Championship, and with being spotted at two-stroke lead, starts minus 10. He has been very clear in his media discussions about his I don't want to call it displeasure, but certainly he does not like the way that this playoff format runs, the stagger format. And ultimately he's the one saying he's not a big fan of it, and he's the one that is always benefiting
that's
from
the
it to start
advantage.
with. So, but here's the thing. I believe, obviously, if Scheffler came out with a two-stroke lead to start the Tour Championship and played the way Scheffler plays, has been playing most of the year, he should win. Should.
But he hasn't.
Here's the thing. Here's sort of my position on this, and this is where we might swing a little off topic, a little off the
whatever. It's all the top. It's all the topic. It's all the Tour Championship.
I don't like this format at all.
No, neither do I.
I think but here's the thing. So let me also quantify this by saying I know why they're doing it.
For sure.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I also don't have the answer either.
No, nobody does.
I feel like I do. I feel like I do have some of the answer, but I also feel like a whole bunch of people need to get into a room and talk about this and figure out some scenarios that may be better. So here's one thing that I would like to see happen. Okay.
Sure.
You play, and this is much like other sports as well. Okay. So you play your regular season, whether it's hockey, baseball, basketball, football, even football. You play your regular season, and there's a reward for who the best is during the regular season. So right off the bat, the regular season ends, and there's a reward.
Which is really where we're at right now.
Right? So why don't they why can there not be a FedEx Cup? The FedEx Cup champion is the player that records the highest number of points during the regular part of the PGA Tour season, up until when the playoffs start. So boom, even if that means he claims it weeks before the playoffs begin. Okay. So you're still playing for points until the season is over, because those points matter afterwards. But you play to the end of the regular season. If Scheffler is the points leader and in this case this year, he had to play the events leading right up to the playoffs, because there was a mathematical situation where had Schauffele won last week, he would have passed him.
Yeah.
Which
is wild
crazy.
When you think about those points in those playoffs. I mean, obviously we see, Bradley go from 50th to 4th.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. He's the last guy in, and he can win it on these playoffs. I think where you're going with it is that this playoffs is different than a regular season, right? Much like hockey, right?
Well, there's no reward for Scheffler. Giving Scheffler it's a 2-shot lead, but it's a 10-stroke start, right? So over the last guy, he's 10 shots ahead of that guy. Right. So, because everybody else starts at even par. Yeah. It's at the very bottom of it. So my point is
there's only a couple that are
all Scheffler gains from all of the work he did all season long is a 2-shot advantage over Schauffele, which in a 4-round tournament is nothing.
Yeah, so he won some other intermittent award that they had, but again, I can't even name it off the top of my head, that gave him a bunch of money and that it was, sponsored by somebody as far as his regular season stuff.
So to me, the FedEx Cup,
that should be the FedEx,
is the FedEx Cup race. It's the points. It's when it's done. Yeah. Boom, playoffs start, done.
Yeah.
End of story.
And I mean, if FedEx is paying, $100 million, which they are for that, then that's what they get. And the Tour Championship is,
and then the Tour Championship is just the Tour Championship. It's the BMW Championship isn't anything any more than the BMW Championship. It's just the BMW Championship. It's part of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Now, if FedEx is paying for the Cup playoffs, then what they need to figure out is how to have to take that 25 schmil. And frankly, here's the other thing. So the most money they play for in a first place prize throughout the course of the year is what, about $5.5 million?
No, it's 20 million. It's like the Players Championship.
Sorry, the Players Championship. Okay, yeah. So why can't they take that 25 million?
All the signature events are 20 million now or total. Sorry, total.
It just seems. So, I don't know. It just I get to East Lake, I get to Tour Championship, and I just think,
yeah. So what?
And I agree with Scheffler. Like you've kind of done all of this work all year long to get a 2-shot lead. Yeah. Like it just almost seems not worth it. I mean, it is, but an advantage is an advantage.
Right. If it's not worth it, then why bother having it? In the end, I mean, he would have got run over last year. I mean, he only shot 1 under last year.
Yeah,
like for gross. I mean, he was finished at 11, but he got waxed by Hovland, who ended up at 27. So, So I mean, it doesn't really. I guess it doesn't really turn out to be the biggest advantage. It does, but it doesn't. But
there's less excitement because all of a sudden Hovland wins the FedEx Cup, wins the 25 mil, wins the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship, like two things in one. And Scheffler was the one that did all the work all year long.
Yeah.
I know. And wasn't rewarded at all. So the one week he comes out and he doesn't have a good week and he loses.
Yeah.
Like I think putting all the eggs in one basket makes no sense to me.
Well, I think that's the problem is I think the perception and the buildup and everything that's been done for the promotion and everything for the Tour Championship is that it's the culmination of the season when really it isn't. So, it shouldn't be made that way. So I agree. I mean, once you're done that season, that's fine. Then it's sort of an extra, I'll almost call it a silly season or whatever, but the Tour Championship shouldn't definitely not be considered to be, the big reward. But again, this is where they, this is what the sponsor wants and not really what's good for everything else.
This is part of the problem, right? Is that money talks and this is, they want to play for the money. So in my second opinion on this is like, you're on the PGA Tour and you want to play for the big money. Well, then just suck it up and go and do what is asked of you and forget about whether it's right or it's wrong or it's good or it's bad. If you want to make it right, then it has to be, it's the playoffs. So NASCAR has a similar format where they race all year long and then they get into the NASCAR, chase for the cup or whatever. And as the season winds down, less and less teams or cars or drivers move on to compete for the ultimate prize, which is the the season-ending thing. And it comes down to, in that one, it comes down to one race at the end of the year, and there's only 4 drivers that are eligible to win it. And and they win the cup based on their points in that race. Not so okay, so here's the thing. They have the playoffs to go, whatever. And this year it would have been good. And I realize in previous years it would have sucked. But you got the Tour Championship. Why can't the FedEx Cup be decided after separate from the Tour Championship? They just go into that no strokes. It's just another tournament with only 30 players left in the field. And the 30 players left in the field are the only ones getting points. So if Scheffler has a crappy day or weekend again, and in this case, Schauffele has a top 10, Schauffele would pass him in that final event and win the FedEx Cup.
I think and
if Scheffler has a crazy good season and is so far ahead of everybody else going into the Tour Championship, and he's already claimed the FedEx Cup, well, then so be it.
I think the other issue too is you've got the other playoff events, and the other playoff events start to elevate and change things by a lot. You end up doing barely anything once you get into the playoffs. You do something well, and then you can go all the way up, just like Bradley has. He squeaks into last week.
Yeah,
he's the 50th.
How much do the points change? How much are the points elevated?
They go by a ton. They go way up, and that's part of the issue. Is that Bradley has a so-so season, gets a win that's in there, is at 50th in the points, barely gets in, and then all of a sudden he gets a win. And he goes from 50th to 4th with one win. Because of that playoff event. And then all of a sudden, now granted, yes, you win it, but I mean, I'm not sure where he has to finish this week, but well, he has to win it, obviously, the way they have it set up now or whatever, but but now he's 4th and he can win the Tour Championship. Just have won the last 2 weeks really, and had been 50th before that. So it's really messed up. That's for sure. Again, I don't know if there's a great solution to it. Staggered start, we start to forget about it a little bit as the event sort of gets going, because then you're just looking at it from, you're just looking at the raw scores and you're not looking at the other end. But it sort of loses its meaning a little bit based on things that are, inflated as far as points and money and so forth. Great for the players. But.
That's the thing. I mean, it's good. The money is great and everything. And you're right. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look at how the points change once the season, once they get into the playoff season. Obviously they increase the amount of points that you can earn for wins and stuff like that. But maybe the answer is, if they want to keep that sort of idea, then eliminate let the points be worth more and just have them finish out that last event playing for those same points.
So most of the events are 500 or 600 points during the season. The BMW was 2,000.
Okay.
So it's worth four times the value. So
I mean, I can see double points for playoff events.
Yeah, 4 times seems excessive.
Yeah, I can see double points for playoff events, and I can even see them maybe the points that you earn for in the playoffs increase as the playoffs continue. So you might start with the first playoff event is 1,000 points, and the second playoff event is 1,500 points, and the last playoff event is 2,000 points, if you want to do it that way. But I would just like to see, okay, if it's 500 points for a win, and then down the line from there, then playoff events are worth double.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a race to the end, and then you're going to have a race to that, and then East Lake, there's no advantage. Your advantage is you get to play in the last group on the first day if you're the leader. That's how the field is seen. And then you truly are playing for the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup separately.
So really, I mean, if you look at an average event, and we'll not talk about the signature events because they have slightly more points. I think there's 600 versus the 500. Basically, if you win the St. Jude and you win the BMW, those two events are equal to winning 8 regular events, because they're both $2,000.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's too much.
It makes no sense because all of a sudden in two tournaments you earn as many points as Scheffler earned in an entire season. More than what he earned in an entire season. And you wonder how Schauffele was in a position to catch him
Right.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
Because he earned more points in the first two FedEx Cup events, or the first FedEx Cup event, than Scheffler did, and he had a position to take over.
Yeah, and the I guess the counterpoint to that a little bit is they've done that a little bit to, because I don't know if you remember back a few years ago when they had the 4 events, some guys would skip an event.
Yes.
Right. So maybe they're doing that a little bit to try to keep guys in there so they don't get passed by too much. So again, it just becomes really complicated. So
well, I mean, you can stop. I mean, here's the thing: you can stop them from skipping events just by saying, if you skip, you're ineligible for the FedEx Cup, or for if you don't play. I mean, it's the playoffs. You play. You have to play all the events. Like there's
they're independent contractors.
Yeah, but they're independent contractors. But the tour is the one that makes the rules.
True, but
I mean, that's fine. You're independent contractors. As an independent contractor, you choose whether you want to play or not, but you have to suffer the ramifications of not playing, because the rules of the FedEx Cup playoffs are that once you're in the playoffs, in order to be eligible for each event and ultimately in order to be eligible for each event and the ultimate prize of the FedEx Cup, you have to participate in all the playoff events. To me, that's not too much to ask. Why are you playing if you're not, you know what I mean? Like, why even bother?
I mean, for you, I mean, how much will you watch? I mean, that's what
I'm
curious. You watch.
I'll watch. Yeah, I'll watch 2 reasons. Number one, I'll watch day 1 so I can see the golf course, because I really want to see the rest, because I really didn't see enough of it in that Creators Classic thing. Sure. Number 2, I do want to see who wins East Lake. I want to see who wins the Tour Championship.
What's interesting,
I frankly don't give a crap one way or the other who wins the FedEx Cup. I mean, I'm so disinterested in the way it's done and the math and all that, that I watch tournaments to see who wins the tournaments. I don't follow when they do that stuff with I just find it like annoying when as they're leading into it and the guy's like, oh, well, he makes a birdie, and then that all of a sudden that birdie just got vaulted him from 30th to here. I mean, that's oh my God, really? Like, I know. That's like,
yeah, when they're showing those points change. I mean, we've only got 2 players, Dustin Johnson in 2020, Patrick Cantley in 2021, that started as the FedEx Cup champ. This is since 2019. The staggered system that actually went on to win. Rory in 2019 started at 5, Rory in 2022 started at -4, and Hovland started at -8. So again, I'm the same as you. I sit there and watch unless it's a player that I'm really interested. Taylor Pendrith, for an example, obviously it was important to see him, play well last week and to secure that spot and to stay in that 30. Unfortunately, Corey Connors, didn't work his way into it. That's the only reason I'd be paying attention to it. Otherwise, watching the different permutations of this is happening and this is happening, and if this guy goes up by 1 and this guy, it doesn't. The average fan, I don't think really attaches themselves to that too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I'll watch. I mean, so I'm cool with that. I like to see Scheffler win, but at the same time, this is golf, and you did what you did. You did what you did. You won a gold medal, and for whatever reason, the last couple of weeks, you haven't had your stuff.
And I don't think. Here's the thing. I don't think if he doesn't win the Tour Championship, he's going to be devastated. I'm maybe not going to be happy, but I don't think it tarnishes his year for sure.
I don't think so either. I mean, it's just another. To me, it's that's why I think tournaments should be treated as tournaments, week to week, tournament to tournament. They don't build. To me, they don't build on each other the same way as
I agree
as Stanley Cup playoffs or baseball World Series or football. Like if you're playing for going for a Super Bowl, you want to get better week after week. So you practice and and you can get better week after week. Golf is different. Like you can be dialed in one day and dialed out the next. You could be, playing lights out for weeks at a time, and then some small little change in your swing creeps in, and all of a sudden you're not hitting it solid anymore. Well, that's not the same thing with other sports, especially the Stanley Cup playoffs, where you've got a 4 to 7 series. You've got you have to lose 4 games before you're done. In golf,
and that's the difference.
You don't get to lose 4 weeks.
No. But that's the difference between a team sport and an individual sport. When the team sport, there's a lot of things that are hidden. You know, a couple players cannot perform well. There's a lot of different other factors where, you know, it's absolute on a single player of how they perform, good or bad, that make the difference. And, you know, maybe that's the flaw a little bit in trying to make it like other sports when it's not.
You can't.
You can't.
That's why a season-long race, a points race, has got to be based on points, not on one tournament. That's where I think what you're talking with Scheffler is that's the issue, is that you do everything you do all year long to get to the end of the season. You get your little advantage, and you have one bad week, and you're done. And it's not you're losing much more than just a tournament.
I got a question for you before we head out and wrap things up or whatever. And it's sort of related to Keegan Bradley. It's related more to the President's Cup.
Yes.
Obviously now he's put himself in that position, and he has said, and this is the discussion that we had before about the Ryder Cup and him being named captain for that. He is a captain's assistant for the U.S. team at the President's Cup coming up at Royal Montreal.
Yes.
And now he's in a position where he could be an at-large pick. He obviously didn't make it from the automatic qualifiers. He has said, I will do what's best for the team, whether they want me to play or be the captain's assistant or whatever. Any thoughts on that? We don't have to go too deep into it, because obviously we can talk about it more when, you know, when those picks and stuff are made.
Different animal this go around. He's not the captain. So
correct. He's the captain's assistant.
He's the captain's assistant. So in this case, his responsibilities are far less intense as an assistant than they are when you're the captain. Your responsibilities leading up to and including the time of the event are much more intense. So as a captain's assistant, I have no issues whatsoever with him being named. And I think that at this point, the way he's played leading into it and where he's positioned outside in the points right now, I think you'd be stupid not to take him. Yeah. So, you know, and I still stand by what we said last week too. I think that Pendrith and Connors should be on the President's Cup team. No other Canadians should be on the President's Cup team.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think Connors is the lock for sure. Pendrith has just got some talents and some abilities that they're able to make use of. So we'll find that out on September 3rd. I mistakenly said it was Tuesday this week, but it's not Tuesday this week. It is Tuesday next week.
So there you go. All right. Yeah. Well, there we go. We didn't obviously get into all the details about everything that we wanted to talk about with the President's or with the Tour Championship, but that's the nature of the show. We talk about what we want to talk about when we want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We can't talk about everything, so we just pick a thread and go with it. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, nicely done, my friend. Always good to get a little golf chat in with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, obviously, to everybody listening. Thanks to all our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and, of course, our presenting sponsor this week, Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country, with over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book golf vacations for next year or this fall. Entry times at golfpei.ca. Glad you're with us. Hope you're enjoying everything you've been hearing and watching. Sure to follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, click the notification bell, make sure you never miss a single episode. Get over to flagstick.com. More stuff there every day. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I'm Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.